Hey, welcome to another edition of the Elected and Engaged podcast. I'm Mayor Derrick Wood, your host, and we are your voice for local politics. Today, we got a very special guest, new rising star mayor, first African-American mayor of Laurel, Maryland, all the way down here on the Elected and Engaged podcast. Y'all give a warm welcome to Mr. Keith Snyder. Make some noise. Welcome to the hot seat. How you feeling today, Doc?
First of all, man, thank you for having me out here, man. We met in January at the U.S. Conference of Mayor. We got a lot in common. Your cousin Ebony and her and I went to Virginia State together. And she told me, she said, "Hey, man, my cousin is a mayor of Dumfries." And when I first saw you, I said, "Oh, God, man." And then that day, from that connection, man, been rolling ever since, man.
Yeah.
Went to the conference, the African American conference in Atlanta. You was like, "Yeah, I got you," So, man, I really appreciate you, man. And so when you invited me out here to come be on your podcast, man, I said, "Yo, just let me know when." Here I am, my brother. So ready to serve you, my man.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. To the millions of people watching around the world. Introduce yourself. Give them a little background story to how you got into this point.
All right, I'm gonna start where I'm from. I'm originally from Petersburg, Virginia. Petersburg High School, class 1986. And from graduating from high school, I went straight into the United States Navy. I served 10 years on active duty. Got out, joined the United States Navy Reserves. And as you know, when you're in the reserves, you got to have a full-time job. So I started my career in law enforcement as a deputy sheriff, state correctional officer of the Department of Corrections, state of Virginia. Then I transferred to federal corrections as a federal correction officer and came back home to Petersburg and went to Virginia State and, got my little degree in individualized studies and came back up here to D.C. in '03. Doing a lot of grassroots work, elected, getting people registered to vote, union organizing. In 2017, I said, let me try my hat for city councilman, city of Laurel. So I looked at all the things I've done in my life, and it met the qualification of a city councilman, giving back to the community. And the wonderful people of the city of Laurel, Maryland elected me in 2017. They reelected me in 2019. They reelected me in 2021. I said, wow, these people like me. Some things I've done some great things. So the mayor race came up in November 2023, and the rest is history. Here I am, the mayor. I've been the mayor of Laurel, Maryland for 8 months now, and then I got a good platform that's running, and I think we'll talk about that more as we get into the show. So
you're the first black mayor that Laurel has ever had.
Yes, sir. But I don't want to be remembered as the first black mayor. I want to know what I've done after my first 4 years.
No, absolutely.
So my legacy is going to define who I am.
How long has Laurel been around?
1870, April 1st, 1870.
1870. And give us a little background for people who don't know what Laurel, Maryland is.
Yeah, Laurel, Maryland is a city in Prince George County. Prince George County have 27 municipalities, and Laurel is the second biggest municipality behind Bowie City in Prince George County. Our population is 30,000 people. We sat on the outskirts of Prince George County, Howard County, Anne Arundel County. Some folks say Montgomery County also. But in that whole area, you probably have close to 200,000 people. But the city of Laurel itself is only 4.5 miles with a population of 30,000 people.
So how would you describe, like if you was to give a description of your town, your city, how would you describe it?
We have a very diverse community. We have a very inclusive community. Our community come together. Everything our Constitution say about diversity and inclusiveness, we have that. We have a population that we serve. The LGBT community is very active in our community. The Latino community is very active in our community. The Asian community is very active in our community. Of course, the African American community. So we all come together and really bring our city together. So it's one thing I think to me is one of the most diverse cities inside of Prince George County.
Yeah, you got the Amish market. I come up there just to eat the Amish market, to get some of them pretzels. Yep, to get some of that fresh bread, that fresh pound cake at the Amish market. So you definitely have a lot of diversity in Laurel.
Yeah,
so
please keep coming back to the Amish market. Man.
So I leave money in Laurel. And in full disclosure, I've been with my dentist in Laurel. About 15 years I've been with Dr. Winfrey. Shout out to my dentist who is also in Laurel.
We share the same dentist.
Yes, my hygiene. We got the same dentist too. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, that's right.
So so this is great. People say you drive all the way to Laurel. Absolutely, go see my dentist.
That's what's up. I'm gonna tell her next time I talk to her, man. We had this podcast together.
Yeah, we had to send it to her. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to serve. First, thank you for your service in the Navy. But what inspired you to really start serving and getting engaged?
Just been a person of history, understanding the struggle that African Americans had to go through, in our country and throughout the world. And I looked at Nelson Mandela as a hero. I look at Malcolm X as a hero. Kwame Nkrumah as a hero. Plus Dr. King. So all those heroes, and that laid the foundation down. I feel I got to pour it back into my community. Pour it back wherever I live. Wherever I live at, I have to be a representation of them because they've fought so hard for me to be in the position I am in today. And so that would made me want to serve. I always wanted to stand up for people, the underserved, people in high school. I was always a person who was standing up for people. I always want to be that protector. So how can I make the community better? You make your community better, one community at a time, the world will be better. So I just believe in just serving from my heart. And so, and when you're elected official, you have a bigger platform. You can write legislation, you can fund programs, you can do more. And so that's why I got into as elected official, because I was doing this work the whole time, my whole life, even from the military, mentoring, all that. But now I can be at the table when they say, help make those decisions, help the people be a part of the decision-making process. So that's really why I do it, man. Yeah.
So serving means different things to different people. Specifically, what does it mean to serve to you? When you say I serve, what does it mean?
To help people out, to give back, to be that voice, to be that influence someone. Just being elected as a mayor and seeing the kids looking up to me now. Because I substitute also. I forgot to tell you that, but anyway. So that's the thing that when I go around the community, the kids see me. Mr. Sydnor, I'm so proud of you. You're talking about a 12-year-old telling a grown man they're proud of me. So
Wow.
and that's because of the work you're doing, serving the community. And so. Just be an inspiration to people, be an inspiration to them, but they can say, I can be that person when I grow up. Once it goes back to the foundation, man, going back to the history of our country and how we was left out. And now, like I say, I want to be able to be in that position to bring us closer to the table because we deserve a chance to.
What role did your law enforcement play into it, and you transitioning from the military to law enforcement? What role did that play in your level of service and community engagement?
Actually, that's a good question because I've always been in law enforcement ever since I was in high school. I was a police explorer from my sophomore year, my junior year, my senior year. I used to work with the police department as a cadet program. You had to be 21 to be a police officer. You still do. But, because of high school, I was 18. So I always been a person of rules and institution helping people because I wanted to come help the people in my community, and I wanted to serve as a police officer first. So I guess, just seeing, like I said before, just being someone that can advocate for people, protect people, and just being able to help people who doesn't, underserved regardless. Just being an influence, being able to change things, and everything can be changed by us working together. Everybody has a voice, so having that voice for folks who don't want to speak up for themselves and understanding the issues when you live at, being boots on ground. When you boots on ground and you come from neighborhoods, you come from environments, things of that nature, you have a better influence and input to speak for those individuals. So that's pretty much, all in. I know it's probably a long answer, but
No, but how would you describe your style of police? Because we see different styles of police, and
yeah.
and a lot of people in our communities and growing up where we come in, we were listening to NWA and we were listening to KRS-One, and he told us 20 years ago, 40 years ago, there were no black cops, right?
Yeah.
And so now with you being in there, how do you think that impact the generation coming behind you? Or what impact do you think you made being serving in that capacity as an officer all them years?
I mean, like I said earlier, when these kids see me, right, they say, Mr. Sydnor, I'm so proud of you. Just what you say, 100 black men, I'm a mentor, 100 black men in Prince George County. We say what they see, what they can be. So if they see these positive influence in their community, they can be that too. It doesn't have to be a rapper or athlete, you know what I'm saying? They can be guys like you and I, elected officials, a business owner. So if you see something positive, and being boots on ground, staying humble, being able to touch people, that's the thing I do. I'm always a boots on ground, you got to be out there with the people, serving the people, be accessible. And I said that when I was, doing my campaign as a council member. I'm going to be accessible to you. Mm-hmm. You're going to be part of the decision-making process when I make a decision at City Hall. Your influence can help me make that decision. And that's true, and I meant that, So I don't make a decision without contacting the people first, and I know what's going on in the community. This is what's going on. Help me make that decision because, I'm not just a voice for you. So I think just being boots on ground, just being accessible to people, and I think you have to do that as an elected leader. You have to be in the community, being accessible for the people can reach out to you, for you can understand what's going on. I think that's how I've been so successful in my career because I was always out in the community. I never left the community. And folks, when I ran for election, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we know Keith. he's going to do this. So it made it easier for me, I guess.
So how did you transition from Virginia to Maryland? Like that's
Uh,
I mean, Petersburg is down south of Richmond
yeah.
to Maryland, being close. You're closer to Baltimore than you
Yeah.
are to DC.
That's true. When I graduated from Virginia State, I wanted to be a federal probation officer, and so I put in for a federal probation officer in Washington D.C. And I came in 2003. So I was working in Washington D.C., but I chose to live in Laurel, Maryland because of one of my closest friends was living in Laurel, Maryland. So I stayed with him a couple of days. I was like, I like this city, and I haven't left since. So that was July 2003. Now that 2024, 21 years later, I'm the mayor of a city who I just came here to work at a job in D.C. and just chose to live in the city because it was close to D.C. I didn't want to live in D.C. So yeah.
So 2003, how did you start to really get engaged in the community in Laurel? What was some
I,
of your early
I,
levels of engagement
I
in that
wasn't I
community?
wasn't engaged in the community in 2003. From I was working. I just was like anyone else, just working in Laurel. I mean, working in D.C., living in Laurel, just hanging out.
Just a place to lay your head.
Yeah, place like my head. And then I started getting involved in Washington D.C. with an organization, a grassroots organization. Called the Universal Negro Improvement Association. I started getting involved with them. It's a Marcus Garvey organization. And I started getting involved, and then we started doing work in Anacostia, Southeast D.C., started feeding the hood. We'll set up in Malcolm X Park, and we'll feed the community and doing things of that nature. And I was like, you know what, after then in 2017, I said, let me start getting involved with what's going on in the city of Laurel because I live here, and yeah, so that's why I said earlier when application came open, position came up for the city council, I looked at it and I said, I can do this. And here I am, like I say, yeah. So I didn't really get involved in the work in Laurel until really 2017 when I started running for election.
So what is that process? You got people watching this who might be thinking about running for office, but they don't know the first steps to take. So
Yeah.
what was that process of running for office? What were some of the steps you took?
Yeah, the steps for the city of Laurel is just check with your local city clerk or the council, and they give you the qualification. But the qualification for the city of Laurel be a councilman, you got to be 21 years old, a registered voter, of course, a United States citizen, and live in the district that you represent. And the rest is things you've done in your life. You put your platform together, find out how you want to serve people. And like I said earlier, all the things I've done, being a union organizer, being a mentor, just everything just came in play. I was like, I can do this, and like I say, and I just started knocking on doors, telling people who I am, that I want to run for be your city council member, and tell them why I want to be that city council member. And back then you had to get petitions. You had the people to sign you up. I had to get 30 people to sign and say that they nominate me to be that city council member, and that's what I was doing. I was knocking on people's doors, telling them, help me build my platform. What are your concerns and issues you have in the community? But yeah, the first thing you do is just find out what the qualifications are and what's your passion, and ask what the people want. Once again, we as elected officials, we work for the people. I think oftentimes that we forget that we try to come up with our own platform, especially in local politics. The government is bigger than that because you got to vote. But the local stuff is pretty much, what do you see? What do you want to see in your community? What kind of business you want to see in your community? Things of that nature. Let them, have the input in that.
What were some of your I guess your big wins or accomplishments as a city council person?
Oh man, we got all day, man. Come on, that's joke.
Give us share one or two things that
two things I think
and really how you did it, because
Yeah.
you got some people who are elected who don't know how to get anything done.
Yeah.
So if you had a big win that you accomplished,
Yeah.
share with people what that win
Yeah.
was and how they can create that type of win.
I gave you two big wins for me. One was during the pandemic. People was hurting. People didn't know how they was going to pay their rent, how they were going to stay in their homes. So I said, let's write some legislation. Before the American Rescue money gave us money for our government, I said, let's take some money from our unreserved funds, our savings account, and let's help people pay their rent. So I asked for $100,000 on my reserve fund. We negotiated down to $75,000 to help people pay their rent and get the utilities, get food, because people was hurting. So I saw an interest in that. So I put that legislation before, called the Laurel Mercy Rescue Plan. Kind of sort of fit the name, but we changed the name so many times. But the bottom line is we took $75,000 from our general funds and our reserve account and put it there to help people. and we use a nonprofit organization to run that for us. We get a nonprofit $75,000, and we say we want you to help people in the city of Laurel who come to you for help, whether it's rent assistance, utility assistance, or food assistance until that money run out. So I was very proud of that because then Juneteenth. Before Juneteenth became a federal holiday, I wrote proclamations. I actually made to write proclamations, to acknowledge Juneteenth. And then in 2020, when everybody started happening, the wake of George Floyd, they passed legislation to make it a federal holiday. But I already wrote proclamations educating the folks because my goal was to make it a city holiday, before the federal government made it a holiday. So it was always from 2019, the first proclamations. Then I did another thing. We changed the day of Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day for the city of Laurel. I think that everybody does it now, but I know the city of Laurel, we changed it from Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day before the federal government told the city they had to do it. So those are things that I'm very proud of, that I took initiative to recognize if something's not right, now we're in a position to help change those type of things. And so, I think I can go on, but I think, to save it time, I think those two things I think that I want to share.
No, I mean, I think those are great. And just how important do you think history has played into your success? You named some people, probably some names that people had never heard of, like Kwame Nkrumah, first president of Ghana, who got their independence in 1958.
Yes, sir.
I had the opportunity to visit the Black Star when I went over to Ghana. But you dropped some names, and I don't think, and so I see a lot of these historical figures, named Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey, right? So I'm picking up on it. What role does this history play into how well you've been and your success in governing?
Everything stops with history. You can't rewrite history. History is America have a history that we try to change it, and you can't change it. And I'm a strong advocate of teaching history the way it happened. The good and the bad. But true healing only can come when you know the truth. When you go to a psychologist or a doctor, actually, what's your history? What's your family history? But we can try to help you out. So in our country, sometimes we want to erase that history. And that history is very important to me because it helped me be the man I am today. It helped me be the leader I am today because we was excluded from a lot of things. And now, so I'm always going to advocate that history and lift those heroes, those ancestors who laid that foundation down for us to be in the position today. If it wasn't for Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement, the 64 Civil Rights Movement, the 65 Voting Rights Movement, the 68 Fair House Voting Rights Bill, Fair Housing Bill. Those are three pieces of legislation to change the trajectory of Black America. So you just can't omit those type of history. So learning history can help you prepare for the future. You have to, that motivate me, knowing that, hey, I don't supposed to be here. And so if I can be here today and advocate for someone, those little kids come behind me, whether white kids, doesn't really matter. It's just the point is that, they need to see that, and we need to learn our history and know that we fought to be here today, and we're not going to give it up, man. We're going to keep on, continue to fight and continue to advocate. You can't erase history. Teach it like it is. What happened, and to me, once again, that's the only way true healing is going to come. If we ever going to really, love on each other, we got to understand the pain that we went through together as a nation, as a country.
That's good. That's good. So you had 2 successful terms as a council member.
3.
3 terms as a council member.
Yes.
Were they 2-year terms?
2-year terms. Yes.
All right. So 6 total years as a council member.
Yes.
How did you know that now was the time to step up and run for mayor? Or did the last mayor just say, hey, look, I'm done. I'm looking for somebody else to pass the baton to, or you just saw a greater opportunity there and a bigger impact for yourself?
I say all of them, all of the above. I felt that, I'm the type of person, when I do a job and I max out of it, I figure I can't go no higher than this, I want to go higher, excuse me. Yes, I say, the next step for me is to be the mayor of the city or run for a higher office. I can do more. Did a lot as a council member, but as a mayor, I can do more. And then, I did get the support from the former mayor. He endorsed me. He said that, you'd be a great fit to be the mayor to succeed me as well. So, I just felt that it was time for me to take it to another level. I have my own vision. The old administration had a vision, and if I can speak on my vision now, but since I've been elected, the 8 months already in the general budget, I put $100,000 into a business program. So any business come inside the city of Laurel, 10 business, of course, right? The goal is to create 10 new businesses here, give them $10,000 startup money to come into our city. I want to increase home ownership. So I took $60,000 out of our general budget, and when a person closed on their house, we can give them $5,000 towards when they close on their house. We understand that everybody don't want to go to college when they graduate from high school, right? So in Maryland, got this thing called the Blueprint Plan, how you transition from high school into trades into college, right? So we created a program with partnership with the Maryland Youth Apprentice Program, and that's 450 hours that a youth have to work in one of our fields. So we put starting this school year, when school come back in September, a youth from Laurel High School, a senior, we work in our IT department. So we're gonna pay them minimum wage, it's $15 an hour. It's gonna work 450 hours for that senior year until you get those 450 hours. That way that person has some skills of working in IT and doing things of that nature. And that's a curriculum that the school has already. So the school gonna give it, let us know. Laurel High School actually have that program there. Different high schools in Prince George County have these different curriculums. And so we're taking a student from Laurel High School to work in the Cisco program. They call the IT program. And we're gonna hire that student for 450 hours. And then on top of that, we got money left for the American Rescue Plan, so we're gonna hire 2 more students to work in our communication department, do things like this, broadcasting, podcasting, being a journalist. So we have Duval High School has a mass communication department, so we're gonna get a student from Duval High School to work in our communication department, and then we're gonna get another student to work in Votech, the mechanic shop from Laurel High School, because they have a mechanic program there, and they can work in our DPW shop when they're gonna be working on, the cars, trucks, changing tires, changing brakes. So therefore, give these kids in high school a chance to learn and earn at the same time. So those things that was never done in the city before until I became the mayor. And so I'm very proud of those things coming up. And those things already been approved, and they're gonna be rolling out this school year.
What is, and this is a question probably a lot of people who don't pay attention to local government know the answer to. What is the difference between what the council members' job description is versus what the mayor's job description is, right? People say, what do you do as a council person? Or, kids in elementary and middle school, what do you do as mayor? So what's the big difference? Because you've been both. So you can start with what is the job description of what you say, a council member and a mayor. And then we probably need to talk about the form of government, because that may be a good teaching point too.
Let's get into that right now. There's 3 branches of government. Everybody know that, right? So the council member is the legislation branch, right? You write the laws, right? They pass the budget. All these ideas I just explained to you, if the council didn't approve my budget, then that wouldn't happen. So it's a checks and balance. I can have the biggest ideas in the world, but once again, that check and balance is the council. They have to approve it. So those are things I asked for. So thanks to Laurel City Council. If you guys are watching this interview, thank you so much for approving my budget for my first year to allow me to implement these type of programs. The mayor is the executive officer, have the face of the city. If something go wrong, you're the person they're looking at. You're the executive officer. The council passed legislation that you feel that it's a detriment to the city, then you can veto that legislation. You can say, no, that legislation is not good for the city. But you have to be very strong that you believe that legislation the council is passing, because they are the voice for the people as well. They're all elected officials. People elected them like they elected me. But so you veto something, it has to be, to me, it has to be a detriment to the city. It's something that we cannot afford. And you as a mayor, you say, okay, we can't do that right now. So that's the main difference. The executive, the mayor is the face, the boss, not really the boss, but he's the person that folks gonna come to first. The council is a legislation body. They write the laws and the rules, the governor the city, fund the city, in other words. And so I say our budget is $43 million, and we said we need $43 million to operate our city. If it's we said we need $44 million to operate our city, then we got to go back to the council. We got to raise taxes, and the council got to approve that before we can raise taxes on the citizens. And the judiciary branch is just enforce the laws. All the laws that the council writes and the ordinance the council writes, we need the judiciary branch, the police department, to enforce those laws to make sure people are being held accountable.
So is your form of government what you would call a strong mayor?
Yes, a strong mayor. Yes. So that means, for those who's watching, I get to pick all my department heads. So I got 12 department heads, and I get to pick all those department heads, and they got to be confirmed by the city council. So once again, that's why I say the city council is very important. I can pick the best person in the world who I think is going to be under my administration, but if my city council don't confirm that person, they got to go back to the drawing board and pick another person. So that's why you got to have a good working relationship with your city council. Let them know this type of person you want under your administration, and give them, the resume, let them meet those individuals. Yeah, so it's a strong mayor government. I mean, I have ultimate power until I'm out of the office.
So now, would you consider yourself a full-time mayor, or do you? Because once people see you as mayor, they think, "Listen, man, this guy is rich. He's got a mayor's mansion. He got an entourage, a security detail, all that
Hey,
other kind of stuff."
hey, it's a full-time job, but ain't no full-time pay, you know.
Ooh, wait, say that one more time, because I don't think that you say it's a
It's a
full-time
full-time
job. Come on.
job, but no full-time pay. You know, we know going into that it's a labor of love. But once again, everything that's written can be changed. We could change our charter to make the mayor a full-time job and pay us full-time money based on the salary you think that a mayor deserve. But I'm fine with it right now. I understand. That I'm not against it becoming a full-time job if that's something the council wants to do. And I'm into. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But right now, I'm okay. I
I think
don't.
I think
So.
most of the citizens think that the mayor is a full-time job.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, a lot of folks do, but it's not. I guess it is a full time job working, responsibility wise, but as pay wise, you can't quit your day job.
So you almost have to be independently wealthy to be in that seat,
Well, now I ain't say
or
independent. You gotta have a day
you
job.
got to have a day
Yeah, you
job.
gotta have a you gotta have a day job. The salary that I make, you can't live off that salary, so you gotta have a day job. And so so you have a full time day job. Like me, I'm retired. So I'm retired federal law enforcement officer. I live off my pension and some military
So
funding.
if the mayor is working a day job, who's running the city while the mayor is at work?
Yeah, the city, you have a full-time staff. City administrator, you have a city administrator. Some people call them city manager. They are your full-time staff, and that's like mostly throughout the country. Mostly, as you know, we're into all these conferences and stuff like the National League of Cities, and the majority of your elected officials are part-time jobs, but they have a full-time staff that run the city when you're not there, but you're still responsible for it. So you still gotta. So that's, once again, you got to pick the right staff that can speak for you when you're not there.
Now, this show was started because local government doesn't normally get spotlighted. Why do you think local government is important to your community?
Everything that you see in your communities, the local government does that. You can't call the governor, all due respect, Governor Westmore. The citizens of Laurel can't call Governor Westmore. They call me because Governor Westmore got so much stuff to handle. He don't handle your potholes in your street. He don't handle your parks. He don't handle your local police department. He don't handle your zoning in your city. All those things come from the local officials that you see every day beside you in the grocery store, in the gym working out with you. All those things are important. When your trash can be picked up, when the parks can be clean. Everything you deal with every day, a part of your life, a local official like myself, you and I, and the rest of the local officials of the world have an input in that. Zoning is important. How you going to adjust your zones for certain businesses come in the city. You know, all those things that you deal with that every day. That's a local thing. Then you can call the governor's office, but they're gonna refer you back to your local politician. Like, wow. So local government, I don't want to say it's more important than the big government, but it needs to be highlighted that these folks need to understand the role that we do have an influence on their everyday life. Even to come to a shelter, a animal shelter in your community, your local government determines that. And because we got to find out, the funding of it, we got to pay for it, we got to find out that we got zoning for it. All those things. That's one of the first things I said that because it's one of the first things folks
Yeah,
came to me like,
yeah.
oh, we're gonna get an animal shelter now. I was like, wow, we don't have no room for it, and plus, how we gonna pay for it? It wasn't like I'm against animals. It's just that I understand that that's something the community want, but we don't have the space to build one at this time.
So that's good. So understanding how important local government is to me, I heard you say if it was a pyramid, it's the base of the pyramid. It's the widest and the most accessible part. How can people, or what are maybe one or two ways people can get engaged without even being elected into local community?
Yeah, committees. Every committees, we have committees for everything. We have environment affairs committee. We got planning commission committee. What type of business come in your city? We got the veterans committee. We got elders committees. We got a committee for everything that basically you want. So if you want to have whatever your passion is, you want to serve on that compassion, we can create a committee for that or create a focus group. So there's no excuse if you don't want to serve. You don't have to be an elected official to serve. If you have a passion to do something in your city, be involved, you can be a volunteer. There's so much stuff you can do. Like I say, those are some highlights of things you can do. So yeah, you don't have to run for no office. You can just engage in that way. Composting, like you love the environment, you love public safety. You want to know, we got public safety committee, for fire and rescue, police. all that type of stuff, man. There's so much stuff you can do in your city that you don't got to run for one office at all. You can just be a volunteer and have a passion to serve. If you got a passion to serve, I got a spot for you inside the city of Laurel. We even create a group for you.
Dennis, how engaged would you say your community is? You got 30,000. Out of that 30,000, how
Yeah.
engaged do you think your
They are
community is?
engaged. They are engaged. Yes,
Okay.
yes. When it comes to new development,
They show up.
they show up. So they very engaged.
That's
Yeah.
good.
We have stuff for the kids. Like last week, we had touch a truck. We had all our fire trucks, our police cars out, our commercial dump trucks, things like that from various corporations and the community. It was out there, man. It was fun to see the community. So they very engaged. Anything that we probably do inside the city of Laurel, folks come out. They really come out for it. You know.
Well, that's good to know. That's encouraging because a lot of times people only come out to complain.
Nah,
But it sounds like your people are very engaged.
yes.
We see you definitely out in the community, leading by example, which is a good thing. You're very inspiring, especially with your move with the mayor.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, Move with the Mayors, like I say, I met the Move with the Mayor campaign in January when we was in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and they said they had this challenge called May, they had Mental Health Month, and they wanted us to be active in our community, let people know, hey, don't suffer in silence. If you suffer from any type of depression or anxiety, anything that you're suffering from, any type of mental health illness or co-occurring disorder, they want you to be active. And so they wanted us as leaders, the local leaders, to engage our community. And we did a lot of things inside the city of Laurel, and I was eligible to get a silver star. So we was able to get we was in the Olympics, right? Since the Olympics year, right?
Yeah.
We got the silver medal. The highest you get is gold. So we got the silver medal, and it was only because of the community being engaged with that. We had a mental health series, we had a tennis series. We had police doing that safety thing. Anything that was like keeping people active in the community, keeping their mind engaged and not being suffering in silence. We was out there reaching. We just highlighted things we done, and in the metrics role said we got a score that got us a silver star, and we did a press release for the city to let us know, hey, but it's all for the citizens being engaged in that. It was U.S. Conference of Mayor that poured it on me as a local official to take it back to my community, come up with some programs, get people to come out and do it, and folks came out and signed up to do those type of things and interact on social media when they was out working out, posting things out, stuff like that. And citizens was very happy and encouraging me, thanking me for doing that. But it was actually the idea from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National Forum of Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention. It was their idea, and I'm just as a leader, like you say, just taking the mantle and rolling with it.
How important as an elected official is it for you to be engaged in those various associations and those meetings? Because some people
Yeah.
might look at it as, hey, I want you in Laurel. I didn't elect you to be out here at these conferences and these associations.
Hey man, that's how you learn. And so you want to elect a leader who's going to learn. So you want to put funding in conferences for you can take your elect leader out and go learn things and bring things back to the community for they can enhance that. Now we all know mental health is very important, but we don't talk about mental health. So you have a platform that you can talk about, letting folks know. I've been in the military 24 years, so I've seen some things, and so I talk to a therapist. And going to these conferences and learning and networking. Met you at the conference and met some other mayors in the conference. It just make us stronger. But I know I got an issue or something, I can call you. I say, yo, Derrick, this is what's going on in my city. Can you help me out? If you don't know it, you say, I know it's a mayor from so and so can help me out. So that networking is very important. So local citizens, do not discourage your local leaders from going to conference and learning. Learning is fundamental. We need to learn to do our job better. So that's how we grow.
That's good. What does the future look like for you and Laurel? I mean, if we was to look 4 years down the line and you got a big wish list of things to accomplish, and if you can accomplish one big thing, what would you want to see accomplished in the next 4 years?
I mean, I'm just going to take, this is a great question, first of all, but 1 year at a time to me. The first year is bringing in 10 new businesses a year, then bringing 12 new homeowners a year, and increasing our summer job program. So 1 year at a time, I'm going to make strides for that. And then when I'm 4 years up, we put all that together, though. But I want to make the city better than when I came in. I don't want to be the same when I came in or lose what we have. So I want to continue to grow the city, because we're small. We're only 4.5 miles, so we can't put too much housing in the city anymore unless we annex land. So just continue to find ways to incentivize people, incentivize businesses to come in our city. So that's what I want to see. Every year I want to grow our revenue through businesses and to people buying homes.
Wow. All right. What, like, aha moment or what words of wisdom do you want to give to the elected engaged audience before you leave? You know, something
Yeah.
profound.
I don't
And you
know.
can say it. Look, you can look right at camera A.
I don't know how
Go ahead.
profound it is, but I'll just say always stay humble, always be grateful, and always be thankful, and just continue to work hard.
How can they stay in contact and connect with you?
Yeah, you can stay in contact with me at my city email address, ksydnor at laurel.md.us. Instagram, Keith R. Sydnor 2023. Or Facebook, Keith Sydnor. So hit me on any of those social media platforms. You can see all the wonderful work I'm doing inside my city. And yeah, man, just want to say again, thank you for having me out here, bro. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
that.
taking time to come down and see us today. You've been watching the Elected and Engaged podcast. We are your voice for local leadership, the lowest level of government which impacts your community the most. Make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe, and make sure you share so more people can learn what it means to be elected and engaged.